Terry Tornado. You know the thumbnail. I've got a guest here on Reseller Review. Her name's Ashley. You know her as Hustle at Home Mom. Ashley, first of all, thank you so much for joining tonight. And before we get into it, I just want to, folks of you who are watching, let us know if you can see and hear us okay. The same way, like with my interview with Callie the other day, we had some technical difficulties. So if you can see and hear us okay, we just let us know in the chat. So Ashley, I'm sure most of I'd say probably 99% of people watching tonight know who you are, but for the few that don't, just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ashley and I'm a stay-at-home mom / Amazon eBay reseller, and I sell all kinds of things. My favorite things to sell are from garage sales and thrift stores and yard sales, very basic things. I do some wholesale, but not a ton. I've always told myself I can level up when the kids are in school. In fact, they're starting school next week. So that's when all my expectations, I have to actually act on that now. But yeah, and I just kind of like to show my journey. I mean, I'm not the biggest seller and I'm not the best seller, but I do like to share what I do with other people, because my goal is so that others, especially who are in my situation, at home and wanting something to do, know that this is a legitimate way to make money from home. If you work really hard and you work at it, you really can make a great income, and you can be on your own schedule. And now that my kids are entering school, I have plenty to do. Whereas I have some friends who just don't know what to do now that their kids are older, and do I get a part-time job? And that was never something that I wanted to do. So it's just this really fun thing now that I've built this community of people who are awesome and super supportive of each other. And we all really want to grow and succeed. And yeah, that's kind of, I guess, me in a nutshell.
That's perfect. I love that, you're a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids and you claim to be part-time. I'd love to know exactly how many hours you work, because it seems like, you're very good at managing your time from what I can see. But to be a true part-timer, bringing in the numbers that you are is incredibly impressive. I'm sure everybody would agree. So again, it's an honor to have you on the show tonight. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'm just really excited to get to know you more and pick your brain. For those of you that don't know, Ashley did a interview with Pure Hustle podcast, I guess a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And they talked a lot about eBay and Amazon on that. So I linked that video in the description of this one. So if you want to talk more about, get into the eBay and Amazon details, I would suggest go watch that video or listen to the podcast. It was great. I listened to the whole thing yesterday. So I don't want to do like a repeat of that one. So I'm going to try to change it up a little bit. But again, it was a great interview, and I would highly suggest anybody go watch that if you haven't. My friend Lotta Josh is in the chat. He says, "We can see you tonight, unfortunately." So,
no way.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about is your name, Hustle at Home Mom. I don't know how long ago that started, but it's a great name. Like I see there's hundreds of thousands of reseller accounts on Instagram and YouTube, and the names just aren't memorable. It's just everybody's pick or this or, something like that. But Hustle at Home Mom is just a great brand name. And you've cross posted that from eBay, I don't know your eBay, but from Instagram to YouTube. Mm-hmm. Do you have any background in marketing, or is that just a stroke of brilliance?
Oh my gosh, that's way too nice. No, zero background, like negative. Is there like a negative background in marketing, like the opposite? No, the only marketing I guess I ever had was my family had a restaurant growing up when I was 14. And I did learn one thing, and that is you can name your restaurant whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with the interior, but if the food is good, people will come. It really doesn't matter about the rest. So I've kind of applied that to my own little brand, I guess, is if my name can be whatever. And I do like the name, and I thought of it a few years ago when I was like, I don't like staying at home is like so not, it just does not convey what actually happens to a stay-at-home mom. You're not staying anywhere. It implies laziness. It implies sitting around. I'm like, no. I'm busier than I've ever been. And I'm also kind of going crazy. So hustle, I'm like, we all hustle. We're figuring out a way to be moms and keep our brains alive and get dinner on the table and make it all work and maybe bring home, a little extra money while we're at it. So that's something that kind of resonated with me. But if I don't have a good product, like good content, no one's going to show up anyway. Like if I could have the best name in the world, but if I'm not being authentic and trying to help people in a sincere way. If I'm trying to be fake or phony or show something that's not me, I didn't believe people would show up to like partake in it. So that's been like a mantra I've had. If it's good, like the food, if the food is good, people will show up. I mean, we had an ugly interior, very limited money. My siblings were not good servers, and neither was I, frankly. Like, we had a lot of rules. We were like Soup Nazi from Seinfeld, kind of. Like, it wasn't good. But the food was amazing from scratch, and we took pride in that, like, very, very deeply. So, so yeah, like I don't know. That's like something that stuck with me is if I don't put out content that's helpful and engaging and interesting and personal, then people won't tag along for it.
Exactly. It's, a lot of resellers, especially when I was interviewing Rally Roots, he was saying that, a few years ago, every reseller on YouTube or Instagram, it was just haul videos and it was, oh, look what I got. And nobody was really getting into the nitty gritty of it and showing the behind the scenes and showing what their actual profits were. And that's a big controversy now that I see on Instagram. Everybody likes to talk about their sales, but nobody likes to tell you their profits, especially with drop shipping and stuff like that. So I see my friend Roxy in the chat. She says, happy to meet a new reseller. So I'm assuming that means she doesn't know you. So Ashley's too humble to brag about herself, but she's a stay-at-home mom, 2 boys. I think it's over the last 2 or 3 years, she just hit $250,000 in sales over the eBay and Amazon platform,
right?
Which is insane for a stay-at-home mom with 2 boys under like 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
And she just hit 25,000 subs on YouTube. She's got like 35,000 followers on Instagram. She's just hitting every nail on the head, and she's operating at really good profit margins too. Even with her thrift store fund, she's like, oh, I paid $1 for this. My thrift store stuff, I paid like $5 for it. I don't know where you're thrifting, but I know you're making the profits. It's not just, that $250,000 is, it's easy to like, I see the posts on Instagram, people are like, oh, I sold $10,000 in the last 60 days. I'm like, I could do that too if I was losing money. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I spent $20,000 in inventory and lost half of my money, but look, I made $10,000 in sales, So it's cool to see, you're behind the scenes and see that you're actually making a huge profit for a business that you can do in your free time while taking care of your family and make, I believe you said in the interview with Pure Hustle Podcast, more money than you were making at your full-time job as a counselor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so many people, when you tell them that you're a reseller, they're like, oh, that's weird. I don't know what that means. But if you just like focus on it and like actually get involved and try, it's very, very easy to be successful, relatively, as long as you're willing to put in the time and energy. But,
right.
It's just not as hard as people that don't do it think it is. So I love that you are so successful while having, for lack of a better word, the limitations of also being a stay-at-home mom, having that responsibility on top. It's different for these full-timers that, just have YouTube and reselling, and that's all they do. Lonnie on Garage Flips, like, he's got a great channel and he does pretty good sales, but like, that's what he does. He doesn't have kids to take care of. And so just adding that on top of your list of to-do things, it's just very impressive what you've accomplished.
That's way, way too nice. Thank you. So I'm glad I have fooled you and tricked you into thinking that I am successful. There's many days where I do not have anything together. But thank you very much. That's really nice. And I loved your interview with Ryan and Allie. Like, I listened to the whole thing while I was cleaning the other night, and it was so good. I didn't want it to end. They're super real and super nice. So
they are.
You have a great interview style for sure.
Thank you. Somebody, when I posted on my community post on Instagram, on YouTube yesterday, somebody's like, how are you getting all these people to do your interviews? I'm like, I don't know. I just asked. And I thought about that, and it is really surprising that so many people on YouTube are willing to give me an hour of their time. Like Ryan and Allie, when I asked them, I really didn't expect them to say yes, just because they're so busy with everything else. But like he said in the video, he's willing to make time for things that matter. And I'm completely honored that it mattered to them, and also that it clearly mattered to you enough to give me an hour of your time. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much. I've got a lot of questions I want to ask, and I don't want to keep you forever. So in the interview with Pure Hustle Podcast, you said that growing up in high school, you were very shy and introverted. You, and clearly that's not the case now. What happened in your life to transition from, a shy high school girl that, struggled to make friends, and now you're filming YouTube videos and putting yourself out into the world like that, just facing criticism every day from weirdos? And what made you go from being so, in your shell to just cracking it wide open and showing your wonderful personality?
Oh, that's really nice of you to say. Yeah, I mean, in high school, I think that I was really into books. I worked at the library. I loved books. I read all the time, all the fantasy, super into Lord of the Rings. I mean, I'm not ashamed. Um, just very quiet, very like, just didn't know who I was and didn't like myself. And then when my family got the restaurant, they have a term in psychology that I've learned called exposure therapy, where if you are exposed to the thing that scares you, slowly and but surely you will overcome that fear. And that happened to me inadvertently by becoming a waitress at my family's restaurant. I had to be talking to people, and like not just talking, but engaging with them to get a tip. And like, it was extremely hard. I had like an anxiety attack before I had to go to my first table. But sure enough, over time and years down the road, the exposure cured me. And I just learned, like, you can't be afraid of it forever, Ash. You have to move forward. And so then just more experiences in my life, taking on interviewing for jobs that I was unsure of, and getting those jobs, and then doing a good job at work. And then I worked with kids, and I had to be in front of them in the classroom, and that helped a lot too. So just slowly exposing myself to the things that scared me helped me a lot. And then even with Instagram, doing my first Insta story took 2.5 hours because my husband was working on the basement, and he would come up and see my phone just up in my face. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to do it. It's the story. It's so hard."
Oh, look at me.
And he's like, "You could do it." I'm like, "Go away. Don't listen to me. I'm just going to do this real quick and just walk away." And so, and I did that. And then doing my first YouTube video was terrifying. I mean, every step has been scary, but like, I think my mantra has become just, you feel the fear and you do it anyway, because I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't put myself out there and expose myself to the fear and really try to overcome it. So now I've embraced my introversion. Like I'm a proud introvert. There's a book called Quiet, The Power of Introversion in a World That Can't Stop Talking. It's something like, the title is something along those lines. And she just talks about how introverts are really a force to be reckoned with, and it's okay to be an introvert, and the world needs introverts, not all the extroverts, So that gave me a lot of courage as well. But yeah, just exposing myself to the fear, and now I know I need to be alone to recharge, and I know my limits, but I've learned that, you know what, I'm putting out content and I'm putting my face out there, and the world didn't end, and it's okay. So I think if anyone's shy or anyone's wanting to do this but scared, you have to do it first. You can't wait till you're ready. You won't ever feel ready.
Yeah.
Do it scared, and then over time it'll go away. The fear really will dissipate.
That's perfect. And I was going to ask you, what would you tell people who were in your situation, how to overcome that? And that's great advice. Just get out there and do it. Like, starting a YouTube channel has been something I've wanted to do since I was in high school. And back then, there was nobody talked about being a YouTuber for like your job. That was just, YouTube was just for views back then, cat videos. But I finally started, I started it last year before I was even a reseller. And I just kind of figured I had to niche down into something to get any real traction. So I just picked reselling. I didn't really know anything about it, but I think the channels actually helped me be a better reseller, like wanting to make better content for my viewers. I'm sure the same way. It's, you kind of research and make sure you know what you're talking about before you put it in a video, and make sure you know what you're buying. You don't want to tell people about bolos that isn't a really good bolo. So
because they'll catch you and they'll tell you in the comments.
Oh yeah,
so,
definitely. Yeah, I've seen some of your comments. I'm like, man, these people are
they're savage sometimes.
It's kind of frustrating because we spend our time filming and editing and putting out free content for people, just for them to consume it and chew it up and spit it back in our face. I'm like, can you just not say anything? Like, what's the point?
Just maybe hold it in. No, yeah, but I have been trying to focus on the positive because the overwhelming majority, and I've seen for your channel as well, you have such good engagement, like comments, people really love you, and it's just taking that time to acknowledge the positivity, the people who really are positively impacted by what we do. That's what keeps me going for sure. And the negative people can just kind of go away. They're going to be there anyway, so let them say their piece, and then it's been good. That's been a very good thing. Again, I've been scared about that the negative comments have come, the meanest things I can imagine have been said, and guess what? I'm still here, and it's okay, and I'm alive, and my husband still loves me for some reason, and my kids are still great, so it's okay. It didn't kill me, so that's yet another thing I can put on my belt. Hey, Ash, it didn't kill you to get negative comments on YouTube. So
Got to get used to that. So you sell on both eBay and Amazon. And like I said, I don't want to focus too much on the actually reselling part. I kind of just want to get to know you. But which platform do you prefer most? I think you started on Amazon and then got on eBay and then quit and then started back. So which has been, I guess, the best for you and the most enjoyable?
oh man, yeah, like I've been so all over the place, and that's like part of the challenge with being on social media is when you pivot, everyone's watching and they can like be like, why don't I see you doing this anymore? But I kind of have embraced that. I'm all about adapting to what I love doing, and I love both. Amazon is so easy. Amazon is very easy when you find the right stuff. Like I found something on Saturday for $25. It sold for $320. The next day I shipped it out, seller fulfilled, and boom, I'm done. And it took literally less than 5 seconds to list because you find the listing, push list, and you're done.
Yeah.
And especially with FBA, if you have a box, you fill it up, send it off. You don't even think about it ever again. You get sales and you move on. But it's not as like personal as eBay. I love eBay for the fact that I can share it with my audience more. I don't talk about Amazon as much because I just can't share what I'm selling. I can't share my store. It's just it has to be kind of under lock and key a little bit more as a personal choice. But like eBay, I can share what I'm doing. I can share my store. My boys can start a store. We can add, like I can add my story to my store. It's more personal to me that way. I touch everything I sell. I fold it, I wrap it, it feels like mine more. And I just frankly find more I can sell on eBay than Amazon. Amazon, I have to sniff around a lot more and be more strategic with, at least with what I enjoy selling on Amazon. I have to be really selective. And so eBay, like if I were to, when I tried to quit it, give up, we have a toxic relationship. I couldn't because I kept going to yard sales and seeing Patagonia and Uggs and all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would sell in a second on eBay. And so that's where I was like, all right, Ash, if you're finding profit for great margins, just sell it on either platform and embrace, the good and the bad with both. So I didn't really answer your question. I'm sorry.
No,
I,
that's not
I
like,
like both. I think eBay, but I like the personal touch with eBay, I will say.
yeah, I'm still struggling with being gated in a lot of things on Amazon. So it's frustrating because like I'll find something that I can make $50 or $60 in profit on, but I'm gated. And then I'd message you on Instagram. I was like, what do I have to do to get ungated in this? And you helped me, but it's still just, I guess you just have to do it over time. But I love eBay. Like as a brand new seller, you can sell whatever you want. So there's more work involved. You got to ship it yourself and everything. But
Right.
And I had my first return on Amazon this week, and I didn't. I guess I don't know. I had a charge on my account, but I checked my returns and it was empty. But they said it was a return, so I don't know. I've got to figure that out. But
Okay, yeah, and sometimes they'll just put it. If it was FBA, they'll just put it back into your inventory, depending on what it was, and you don't even have to really think about it. But a lot of times, if it's like an electronic, they'll just send it back to me, and I'll assess the damage and either sell it on eBay or resend it to Amazon.
yeah, this was a combo unit, and they said it was damaged, or damaged unsellable. So I had to do like the thing where they send it back to me. So
Right.
I don't know. Like, and I feel like it's easier to get scanned on Amazon because they're so lenient with their returns. Like,
Yes.
you bought something a year ago, yeah, return it, full refund.
Yes. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, and that's where I get in touch with Seller Central, and I'm like, hi, we need to work on this. They were outside the 30-day window, and they'll usually give you a concession or they'll like eat. Their Amazon is quicker to eat the cost for the seller and the buyer. They'll like just make it right either way. They don't. And if they determine that they damaged it, they'll just eat the cost. I've had a whole box sent in that was damaged by them, and they just paid me everything that it would have sold for right away.
Oh,
So that was kind of nice too. So Amazon, like, it doesn't care. So again, you can get scammed, but they also don't care. Like, I would fight with eBay forever to get those, the money back. Whereas Amazon's just like, whatever, be happy, fine.
when you make as much money as they do, they don't care.
They don't. Yeah, exactly.
Um, so here's a question. I guess it's a typical interview question, but just one. I don't know why I haven't asked my previous guest this, but if you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
I've thought about this all day, and they're all alive. All these people are alive, and because I had to like limit myself because I have so many people I would love to talk to. One would be J.K. Rowling. I think she'd be the first one I'd want to talk to. She's so amazing, so brilliant. She's struggled in her life and has now like created such a phenomenon. I love her as a writer and as a person. I think she's a great person. So I would love to sit down with her and just basically fangirl. And then there is a Japanese animator named Hayao Miyazaki who I adore. I would love to have dinner with him, and just honestly, I would love to draw with him and like have him. That would be like an absolute dream come true because he is the way that I don't know if you're familiar with any of the movies, so the nerd in me is coming out, but it's okay. Like his movies are so brilliant beyond what I think American animation. I mean, I love American animation. I love taking my kids' movies. Like I love the Pixar movies, but there's just such a gentle, like beauty to the Japanese animation movies that he does that I've seen millions of times. I've shared them with my kids. I love those movies. So yeah, I would love to talk to him. And then, have a translator there. And then number 3 would probably be Conan O'Brien because I just adore him and I think he's hilarious and so down to earth. And like, I used to watch him like in high school. I would watch late night and love it. And so I just think he's such a real person and he's so honest. Like I love his podcast too, because he just gets down to like, he talks about Hollywood. He's like, I see billboards of people smiling and saying they're doing great. He's like, I know they're miserable. I know they're so unhappy. He talks about like the realities of Hollywood and of his life. And it's really fascinating. And so I think he's a really genuine, real person.
Yeah.
Those are the 3.
So I have this, I love that you say Conan O'Brien because I have this sign on my wall. It says every good fight needs a few hits. And it's from my friend. I say my friend. This guy I followed on YouTube. He was like the first YouTube channel I subscribed to. His name's Olin Rogers. I'll link his channel in the description of the video. But he's done like comedy videos. Like he started with like a group of his friends in high school and then kind of did like a solo thing. And his like dream was to meet Conan O'Brien and like work with him in some way. And Olin, I have such a respect for him because he, throughout all of his YouTube videos, I've never heard him say a cuss word. And it's really difficult to be funny to a large audience without cussing,
Yes.
There's that like shock factor that comes with that. So just the fact that he's made it, since 2007 or 2008, I've never heard him say a cuss word. And I think he just hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube like 3 months ago. I just have such a respect for him. And he had like a couple of animated cartoons that he's wanted to try to get on TV, and he's worked on it for so long. And Final Space, it's a show that was aired on TBS like last year. I think now they moved to Adult Swim, but Conan O'Brien, it kind of gave him a shot. He pitched the show, and you had some financial backers to a bunch of different people. And Conan O'Brien ended up, they pitched it to TBS, and TBS didn't want it. And then Conan O'Brien himself wanted it. So Conan kind of partnered with TBS to get it on there. And Olin went on his show one night to talk about it. And you could just see how thankful Olin was to like not only meet Conan and work with him for the first time, but have him back up Olin's dream of making an animated series. And the series is great. Again, it's called Final Space. I'll link that in the video too.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. And I hear stories like that all the time with Conan, like that his interns love him and he's very funny. And when he meets people, he is genuine. He wants to make them have a good experience when he meets them. And like, I just think that's so, I don't know. He's great. That's awesome. That's a great story. I love that.
So let's see. So what's the hardest part about balancing, I'm going to say your business, like your YouTube channel, your Instagram, your reselling business, all of these things that take so much time. What's the hardest part about balancing that with raising your family is, and the question I want to ask here is like, I know you pick your family over your business all the time. You constantly talk about that, and there's not a doubt in my mind that that's your priority. But do you ever struggle to, like when your kid broke his leg a few weeks ago, like, did you struggle, putting your store on hold for a little bit and not posting a YouTube video, like giving up the money from the AdSense and the money from the sales to kind of focus? Do you ever struggle with that in your mind? Yeah, I know you always pick your kids in the end, but is it hard sometimes to give up the subs and views and AdSense and money from sales to focus on your family?
I would say it was when I first started and got really excited about all of this. All I could think about were sales and my next moves and wanting to make big moves and bigger, move to the next step, next step, next step. And I did get for a little bit, I tend to like be a little too, I get very, I guess, addicted to things. And I got really addicted to reselling, and I really wanted to grow and to improve, and it just was so fun. And yeah, I would feel the pain. If I didn't get a sales goal that I wanted, I felt painful about it. Whereas now, I honestly don't have a hard time. If when my son broke his leg, I didn't care one bit. If I had one sale, no sales, who cares? Because I think as they've approached an age where they're about to enter school, I'm realizing how quickly that has gone by. Like everyone said it when they're throwing tantrums, they were 1 and 2, and people say, "Oh, you'll enjoy this. They're going to grow up so fast." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. I'm dying here. Can you please babysit for me? This is so hard." But then, like, they're right. It does really go by quickly. And I have realized that I have time. I have time to build whatever I want later, really very soon. Like this is going to, sorry if you can hear
No, it's fine.
some tantrums going on. But like, it's been like very eye-opening to realize like they're going to be going to school and they're going to not need me like this pretty soon. And I am fortunate in that my husband works and he can support us with his income. So my income, we're just working on actually one day having him work with me. That would be like the dream. But there's no urgency for it. So I can take breaks, and there's many who can't because this is their full-time income. So I want to be sensitive to that audience because I don't want to come across as lackadaisical about this. Yeah, like there was a time, but I would say now, like, it's very easy to put my kids first because, like, I think I just realized, like, I'm not going to, at the end of my life, go, "I'm so glad I made that sale that day. That was a great sales day." I'm going to say, "I'm so glad I took my kids to the Nickelcade and we had this memory of my son really wanted these handcuffs and he really wanted to get them. There were 400 tickets and we played this machine over and over and finally he got the jackpot." Like, we're going to remember that. So that's made it much easier to like let that go. And then with Instagram, letting go of needing to like post every day or being on all the time was really.
You said that on Sundays you just delete the app altogether just to give you like a break.
It's gone because I just don't. It's my like, we are Christian in our house and we have the Sabbath, and so it's my way of showing, like, I guess, God, that I'm taking a break from everything, including Instagram, including my business. I don't do anything. I don't take pictures. I don't do one thing. I don't say, I even like, I'll accept offers. That's like the one thing I will do. Like if there's offers coming in, I'll accept or whatever. But I don't do shipping. I do all my shipping Monday because I just, I have to have one day that's totally mine.
Yeah.
And yeah, with Saturdays, my husband's able to watch the kids and I'm able to do a lot of work on Saturdays, go garage selling, even photograph and list a bunch of stuff that day. And then throughout the week, I just devote to the kids and we go fun places and we go to museums and aquariums. And I just am trying to soak this in because it's going to be, before I know it, they'll not want to spend time with me, which hurts, but it's just what the nature of kids growing up is. So
that's an awesome answer. And like, the reason I asked that is because I'm at a point now, like I'm almost monetized. I think I'm like 5,000 minutes away. So I'm sure by this weekend or so, I'll get there. But like, once you get like some traction and you see, the feedback and the views going up, like it is really addicting, like the YouTube. And then the same way with reselling, like you figure out, your listing tricks and you start listing more and you start seeing those sales. And my wife can sometimes catch me. She's like, "All right, you need to calm down a little bit. Like, let's take a break. Like, we're going to the beach this weekend." And she's like, "Okay, there's no eBay, no YouTube this weekend." I'm like, "All right, deal." But it's still hard for me. I'm like, I want to check it. So, but I know like I'm going to feel so good if I just put everything down and forget about it. Um, so I don't know. It's, with success comes a level of addiction, I guess.
Hmm.
And that's really what makes people successful in the beginning. Like you have to have tenacity and energy towards whatever you want to be successful at. And especially with social media now that it can actually be a source of income for your family. So it's not just, used to, oh, all this just for likes. Like, no, it's, all this for money, really.
Yeah,
And you also get to help people. I don't do YouTube just for
of
money.
course.
You should never do YouTube just for the money. It's not that much money. It's not.
No, but it doesn't hurt that you
It
get to
doesn't
make
hurt.
some
Yeah.
income. It's
So
nice. Yeah. And to see the views go up, you're right, it is addicting. And that can be, if you tie yourself to the views, that's really hard. Because then if a video doesn't perform, it's like, people don't like me. What did I do wrong? I said something wrong, but you can't even focus on that. You just have to go on to the next and keep the joy in that too. And well, I help if one person made a comment that they liked it, I helped one person. Awesome. On to the next video. Let's move on. Because yeah, if you get caught up in that, the likes and the subs and the comments, then you'll quit. Like
yep.
you will quit.
Um,
Not you. I'm talking like in general. Because
no,
I know
I would.
you're driven. No, but like I'm saying in general. Me, I would
Yeah.
have quit. I got too tied into. I started to get tied into that. I'd like have a bad day if I didn't. I don't know, whatever. And it was so dumb. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And don't attach feelings to things like that. It just doesn't work. It never works.
My wife and I were listening to a motivational speaker yesterday on the radio, and her point, she's like a Christian speaker, and her point to get across was that you should never find your identity in anything that you could lose. So, even though I'm a reseller and a YouTuber and my real job is an insurance underwriter, whatever, none of those things are my identity. I don't want to get too involved in the whole religion and politics thing, but like I'm a Christian and that's something that I can't lose. So that's what I find my identity in. Everything
Yeah.
else is just, whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of my life. But um, I think when I heard that, it was really important because so many people find their identity in things that are temporary and they find joy that's fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it time and time again. People are just brokenhearted and feel like failures because they were pursuing something that, was promising things that it couldn't provide.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
and your Pure Hustle podcast is in the chat. Shout out to those guys.
Oh,
Again,
hey.
she did
That's so awesome.
so I linked in the description to Ashley's interview that she did with them. So go watch that. But in that interview, you said that, and your family or people that you grew up with that had some struggles with addictions, and a lot of people that struggle with things like that, they identify as that, like people that, I'm just an alcoholic or I'm just a drug addict. And that's just who I am. That's just who God made me to be. And, we can find our identity in those, bad kind of things that overtake our life. And we can find our identity in quote unquote good things, being a YouTuber or a reseller. But the two are kind of the same. Like you should never find your joy in things that can be taken away.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't want to this is not a Dr. Phil show, but
No, I love it. And you're right. Like, I think C.S. Lewis said once, even the most humble of people, you see a beggar on the street who's just had a very, hard life or looks, you may judge them in one way, has an identity beyond that, has an eternal identity.
Mhm.
If we could just see beyond the physical, that we would be humbled at their presence. And like knowing that and knowing like once I don't know, for me, yeah, I guess I don't want to like go, wherever, but I will say like I do feel I will be accountable for what I did in my life one day when I die. I believe I will be accountable for everything I did. And that is a very sobering proposition because I don't want to have put anything before the beautiful spirits God gave me, the two most important little guys in my life. And it also makes me want to make good choices here because I have been a steward of this body and this spirit. I'm trying the best I can. And at the same time, though, you can make mistakes and you can still change and pivot. But that notion that you are accountable is something that I don't take for granted.
That's awesome. So this is a good transition into the next question. So in your interview with Pure Hustle podcast, you mentioned that you the the family that you grew up in was not very nurturing. I suppose I don't want to put words in your mouth, but said
No,
there
yeah.
may have been some toxicity there, and you had made the decision on your own to kind of separate from that. Kind of start your own life and leave that toxicity and negativity behind. And I was curious about how you did that, because I, I don't know if I'm in the same boat, but my family, I have no complaints on how I was raised, but I've made some changes in my life from that which I was raised in. And it's tricky to, have them see that you're changing your life and doing things a little bit differently than them, but also still having respect for them because, they raised you and they love you. So how did you, make the transition, leaving, everything that you were raised in and starting a new life while still, having a respect for the people that raised you?
Yeah, that's a very hard thing. And it's probably even like why I have my master's in psychology. Like my ultimate goal is to help figure out my family because it's a very um hard thing. It's just a lot of yeah, there was emotional abuse for sure. Um we'll just leave it at that. And there's just a lot of manipulation and ways to keep us close to the like ways to manipulate us into staying close so that we could help financially support like the toxicity going on.
Yeah.
I guess is like the and secrets were a big thing. You keep the secrets of the family. No one leaves the family. Dating wasn't really allowed because you don't. That's inviting someone else into this very toxic machine. And we each played our part. I was the doormat, which is tried to please, and then there were others who kept the engine going with drama, and some who, like, I would say that there was codependency for sure. And when there's codependency, people fill that with something. When you don't get the love and nurturing you are seeking, you will find an addiction or something to fill that void. So that's where I saw addictions happening. Sorry, my kids are giggling. I don't know if it's audible at all. So I saw this pattern starting to emerge probably once I started college and I really tried to have my first relationship, and it like really was so not allowed, and things were told to me that to shame me. I was like a lot of emotional manipulation, and for me where my soft spot was inside. I was very insecure anyway, so if they could prey on that and help foster the insecurity and keep it there, then I wouldn't ever leave because I wouldn't feel comfortable enough. I would never feel pretty enough or ready to like have a relationship. I was told like I would never get married because because look at me and I was a mess and lazy and whatever. So I was like told this script. And then I think I just slowly like my eyes started to open as I started to like read things and listen to things about manipulation and about narcissism and toxic family cycles. I was like, this is us. Like I was starting to put the pieces together. This isn't healthy. This isn't right. And we were very much trapped financially as well in the whole mess. And so to be totally just honest, my sister 12 years ago passed away related to drugs and alcohol. Excuse me. She was 10 years older than me. And her death like was it just like hit me so hard that like, this isn't okay. The way that we treat each other in this family is not okay, not healthy, and very toxic. So long story short, a couple weeks later, I packed a bag and I left with nothing. And I was living at home. Well, I was living with my sister at the time, but we always lived either with our siblings or with our parents. And I left and I just decided I'm going to start a new life. Got a job with the help of my oldest sister who had also broken away. when she was younger. She's 15 years older than me, but she had broken away as well. And I got a hand up from her and was able to live with her for a little bit, get on my feet, and then start a new life. And after that, I went to therapy, which I would recommend to anyone who's been through toxic emotional abuse. Go to therapy, get that worked through, because you have scripts in your head that are not healthy. You need to get rid of those if you're going to have a functional relationship with friends or with anyone. And that's just when I decided, like, okay, Ash, you're here. And after I left, my family stopped talking to me. So that was, they've slowly, I get a text here and there, maybe a few times a year. From my mom a little bit. We see them rarely, but it's just, I knew that once I broke out, the machine would have to function without me, and I was sort of out.
Yeah.
So we don't have a relationship really. And it's kind of sad because my kids are asking, what about mom? Do you have, so we see dad's family. We don't ever see yours. And I'm just like, oh, they're busy. But they don't really want a part. At least my siblings don't want much to do with my kids, which is really sad. But they're in their own, they're still in the machine. So I can't blame them. And I don't feel resentment or anger. I just am sad. I'm sad because I know they're stuck.
It's sad, and it's really brave of you to, because I know a lot of people that come from toxic families that are afraid to break off that tie to them just because, they're their family and everything. I'm not family. I've never went through emotional abuse or anything. We're just kind of have differing opinions on like parenting and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But people that have truly come from toxic homes that are scared to break the ties just because that's your family. Like if somebody's abusing you or just being a negative influence in your life, it doesn't matter if they're related to you or not. I think you at least entertain the idea of breaking that off,
Mm-hmm.
at least, temporarily to, get your own mental health in order. But that's incredibly brave of you to, go through that and find out what was best for you and your health and
Mm-hmm.
take that leap.
I felt a ton of guilt. And then anyone who's listening who maybe is in the same situation, there is a way out. I want them to feel like there is a way and a path will open up. Things will happen, miracles will happen to help you get out, because there's no way I feel that like you should ever be in that situation or meant to be. You're not meant to be in it. You're not stuck. You can leave and things will be okay. And like this is me. I left in 2007. So this has been a long time. If I could go back and tell younger Ashley, I would say it's going to be okay. I know you're scared. I know you're confused. I know you're hurt and you feel completely abandoned, because I was. These are the people who I was with all the time, suddenly cut off in every way. I didn't know who I was, but slowly over time, this amazing path opened up. I met my wonderful husband. Like things worked out, and I'm so glad I broke free, because I look at who I could have been if I stayed. And I know I wouldn't have my kids. I know this is a little dark, but I remember feeling before I left my family, I was at my sister's grave and I had this prompting: if you don't leave, you will be in the grave next to her. I knew it. I knew I would. I couldn't live like that anymore. So it was time. And I don't really like go there, but it was time. I was like, Ashley, if you want to live, you need to go. And I have a plan for you. And there's hope and there's people who need you, and you got to get out of there. So it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but like, it was the best thing I've ever done. Hardest, but best.
You're married, you have a great husband, great kids, YouTube channel. I mean, your life is, at least from what we can see, I mean, it looks like you're incredibly healthy and happy. So I definitely feel like you made the right decision in that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm grateful every day. And I'm grateful for every second that I'm free and have choices and have everything I have. I feel very blessed, for sure.
Awesome. Okay. So again, this is not Dr. Phil. A lot of Josh says, can Dr. Harry Tornado be
I love it.
Series? We'll discuss that, Josh.
What do you charge per hour? I need to pay you for this therapy session.
$700.
Okay, done.
We're at 44 minutes. So what is that, like 500? So let me, since you're a Christian and I'm a Christian, I've always thought about the ethics of reselling. This question wasn't in the list I sent you, but have you ever found such a good deal that you felt bad, and like maybe on American Pickers, they always do this thing like somebody's like, oh, give me $20 for that. And they're like, no, man, I'll give you 200. Like, who does that? But have you ever come across just a deal you felt bad about, so you either paid up for or just refused to buy it at that price?
No. I mean,
I haven't either, so don't feel bad.
so bad. No, I feel like there's such an abundance of stuff out there. Like there's no waste. I'm sorry, there's a lot of waste. There's no like limit to how much we can find. I really believe that. Especially here, I find more than I can handle. I have to turn things down because I see so much. So like, no, I will like, I think I like, yeah, like if people are willing to, I don't know. I've always had this approach. Like if people are willing to just give it away, that's on them. I think you need to like, if you're willing to just get rid of your stuff, if you're in like a purge mode, a lot of people just don't care. Like, and I've told people even that what I do and how I do it, and they're just like, awesome, take it. That's great. I can't even think about that. I'm too busy. So, yeah, I think like if I were, I don't know. I've never felt like I'm preying on anyone. I feel like at yard sales, you're getting rid of your stuff anyway. I'm your best customer. I'll come take it all. Like I'll take all of it off your hands. And if anything, if people charge more, like I'll pay. I do pay up for things, and I have no qualms about that if I know I can make a profit. So I don't haggle. I guess maybe that's my way. I mean, I haggle a little bit. Like if it's not in a range where I can sell it for a profit, I'll kind of work it, see if they're willing. But that's where like if I pay what people want. And that's I guess my way around it is like, well, if this is what they wanted, I'll just pay it. Whether it's $5 for a pair of jeans or $1 or $10, if I know I'll only be able to sell it for 30, well, that's totally fine. Like I try to be fair in that way and my goal is to leave the interaction to where if they found me on YouTube later, they wouldn't be like, I hate her because she took advantage of me. So I do try to be very open. And I think like maybe the school hall where I found all those books, I found $10,000 worth of books, and all I had was $200 cash on me, $220. And I just said, I'm so sorry. Like, this is all I have. I could come back. What can I do? And they said, oh, just take them. We were going to throw them away. We're fine. We're happy with that. I'm like, all right. And I just rescued them from the dump. That's what I tell myself, and made a little profit on the way. So
I think it might have been different if you really had like $500 in cash and you were just lying about the
no,
220.
yeah,
If you
no,
really only had
I would
220,
have
that's
paid
totally
more.
fine.
I really would have paid more if all my cash was gone now. That's all I had. So
That was a great day. And you sold all of them FBA, right? And they all sold like fairly quickly.
it was right before textbook season, and they all sold in 6 weeks.
$10,000.
Awesome. I pray for that. What can happen again? So great. It's the best.
I think we all do. That's crazy. So eBay, I personally think eBay has a few issues with their selling platform and things like that. And there's a few things, in my opinion, that I think they should change. What do you think would be the best change that eBay could implement to just make it easier to be a seller on that platform?
Immediate pay. Can we just do immediate pay? I don't know another platform where you can't pay. You have to pay immediately on Amazon if you want something.
Yeah.
On Poshmark, you have to pay immediately. So eBay, and like at eBay Open, I did talk to them about this, and Mike and Orlando were there too. I mean, we talked about, can we implement this, and they are working on it. But I'm like, that is one thing that I'm just like, why? And the monthly invoices are just, I mean, it's fine. It's not like it's more money, but it's just annoying. Like that every month you have this fat bill and you're like, where did this all come from? I mean, we know, but it's also like, you look into it and you're like, well, am I being charged extra fees? Like, it would just be nice if it was just every, I don't know, every single time you sell something, the fee is taken out right away. And
it feels like it would be
pay
easier
right away
for them too.
What's that?
I feel like it would be easier on their part too if they just took it out immediately, because a lot of people get their accounts suspended because they can't afford their eBay fees at the end of the month. Right. And that's just, I feel like they probably have a whole department designated for that.
And unpaid items, like that's a whole, like your items in purgatory for a week until you can like get it cleared up. It's really annoying. So I think that's something that they're working on, but that's one thing that that is a definite frustration point. And just their listing process is very bulky and not streamlined. So I'm like, if you can please streamline that, that would be amazing. And even bulk shipping, I don't like the bulk shipping either. I don't know. See, I have a few gripes. I still love, I mean, I love it, but like those things, if they were fixed, would be awesome.
Yeah. To be such a large online platform, you would really expect them their website to be more streamlined. Like I listed
Yes.
some items yesterday. I listed these shirts actually, which I'll talk about later in the video. But I listed those on like a variation listing, which was my first time. I usually
Uh-huh.
list from my phone, and on the app on your phone, it's fairly simple. But
Hmm.
going on the desktop to list, I'm like, it wouldn't let me list at first because I had to put in the UPC and the MPN. I'm like, I don't even know what an MPN is. Like, I don't. It's a shirt, and here are the sizes, and this is how many I have, and this is the price, and that's it. So I don't know. Just
Yeah.
to be, if it was like, I would expect this level of complicatedness to be on a new platform that is struggling to be developed. But with
Mhm.
eBay, with its size and its uh, resources, you would think they could just simplify 90% of their website and their processes. But
Yes. Yeah.
whatever.
All the variations are really hard and just really unnecessary in a lot of ways. Like theme for your sweater. Like I feel like it'll auto populate like Harry Potter. I'm like, this is a Vince sweater. It's not Harry Potter. Like, why is this even here? And so I personally don't actually list on eBay at all. I use a third party platform to list and it's much faster. So I'm like,
I have to talk about
I
that after the video.
yeah, yes, yes. Because I'm like, I'm sorry, eBay, it's bulky. And I talked to them about it. I told them what it was. And I was like, you need to make your platform like this. This makes it way faster and easier. So
Yeah.
I can't, someone shared it with me and I would love to share it here with your audience, but because they told me about it and did not give me permission to share what I use, I feel like I can't. I'm so sorry. I feel really bad.
It's
But I
okay.
do want to share that is to sniff around for third-party platforms that let you list and experiment because they are faster.
Once you get to 100,000 subscribers, you have to tell us the platform.
Okay. Okay. I will.
Deal.
I will.
So you've talked before about being an extremely fast lister. I think it probably comes from being a stay-at-home mom and trying to do all your listing nap times and stuff like that.
Yes.
So what I feel like most resellers would agree that listing is probably the most time consuming and annoying part of reselling.
Hmm.
So what tips would you give somebody to really maximize their time and efficiency when it comes to listing?
Okay. Definitely. Okay. And if this is where one of my inspirations, Tech in Sports, I don't know if you guys follow him at Tech in Sports, is a huge, I mean, he has created an insanely huge store all on his own. And like, I mean, he also has like 8 other businesses and he is incredibly successful. But like, he is a fast lister. He lists fast. And I'm like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So I was like, if I had like a day where I'm photographing and it's slow, I'm like, Ash, you can go faster than this. And so literally, if I'm not sweating, like it feels like a workout when I'm with photographing. I'm going as fast as I can, and I get more done. And like if you're not sweating, you're not going fast enough. That's like my motto. I mean, you have to like don't make it too fancy. That's what I mean. I just am trying to go as quickly as I can. So my setup isn't anything super professional or fancy. I don't edit the photos after at all. I just let them be. And I mean, I try to take the clearest pictures I can with natural daylight. That's what helps me a lot. And so I would say if you aren't listing or if you aren't photographing at least 20 in an hour, hopefully 30 or 40 at least, you're going too slow.
Yeah. So
Or
when
you're
you
picking
photograph,
specialty items.
like when you photograph an item, do you like bag it and put it in your bin, or do you kind of
No,
pile them up and then do that later?
pile it up. Yeah. So I have a bin, so I can kind of walk through my process a little bit. I have like a big, I can grab it. Sorry. A bin like this, big tote, right? Or big bin. And I'll carry all of my unlisted stuff down and I'll have that bin up to the side of me. I kneel down on my rug and my little flower for, whoever knows what reason. I'll comb out my rug for a second. And then I time myself and I say, okay, let's go. And I've purposefully started picking things that are easier to list. Jeans are easy for me, tops, shorts. Dresses are a little fussier unless they're like shorter and just already kind of structured. But things that are long and weird and fussy that won't make me a profit, I'll just be like, or at least enough of a profit, I'll kind of put back. But I'll start to so I'll just go, I'll lay out, I take a picture of the full item. I'm always using square mode, full item, tag, size tag, material tag, flip it over, picture of the back. I take measurements with, I don't think I have it up here. There's a little sewing tape measure that's like not an actual, woodworking tape measure.
Yeah.
I would recommend using like a sewing one. It looks a little less like obtrusive. And then I take a photo of the measurement of the pit to pit and then shoulder to hem, or shoulder to hem. I take a picture of that and then I'm done. And I go as fast. I just am going, all right, moving on to the next. Like seriously, like it's like a whole system. And then I can get done really quick. I do try to list like items because as I'm listing later in my software, it's just much easier if they're all together. I have templates, and so I can just be like women's jeans. Okay, boom, 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 boom. So yeah, and I'll take it upstairs. And so what I'll do is once I'm done, I'll take it up to my office, and I have all these bins back here. I'll take out one that's like kind of empty-ish, and I'll go to my bins of things I just have photographed. I'll list them all, and then I will go back into eBay, or I'll just put it while I'm listing, but it does take a little more time. I kind of like to be in the zone when I'm listing and not worry about putting in the SKU. And it is so easy on eBay to go back in and just put the SKU in.
Yep.
And I'll just like put in A12, and I don't put in any, I just put the bin it's in. I used to do like a numerical A1209, but now it just takes too long. And so I just put it in the bin. It's still just as fast to find. Like I don't find myself digging any more than I normally do. And then so I'll go to the page jeans A12, put it in like, and that's a very simple system too. And that's all I do. That's pretty much it. It's very, again,
You
it's
got it down to a science.
I'm trying to go as fast as I can, and I don't list every single day. I bulk list a few times a week. And that has been totally fine. I think it's a myth that you have to list a little bit every day. I think you are fine if you want to list 70 items on Saturday and then 20 on Tuesday and 20 on Thursday. You are going to have great sales all week.
Yeah, definitely. So we're getting near the hour mark. Are you okay to do a couple more
Good.
minutes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're good.
3 or
If
4
you're
more
done,
questions.
you can kick me out.
So I know you listen to a couple of different podcasts. Do you have YouTube channels, or I guess or podcasts, whatever that like you listen to or watch, while you're listing? They can be reseller related or not. Like for me, I really like Graham Stephan. He's like a finance talk guy. His channel's really blown up lately. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
yes, I love him.
Yeah. So who are some of the YouTubers that you find yourself watching?
Oh yeah. Graham Stephan is one of them for sure. I really like him. I think he's got a very great approach. He makes insane money on YouTube. Insane. Yeah. Like that's where I'm like, what? That would be nice to make in a month. What?
Yeah, he's bringing in like 200,000 a month just on AdSense. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, like crazy. I love King of Random. My husband loves King of Random, and it's so sad he just passed away. Actually, it's a really sad accident. But we loved the King of Random. He actually lived in our city.
Wow.
And he had like over 10 million subscribers, and he'd do these like science experiment, videos. And so that hit us hard when he passed away. Like, I mean, we didn't know him, but like we loved his channel. There's a new one I've started following called Mama Dr. Jones. She's an OBGYN who has 4 kids, and she has these videos about like an OB reacts to a Grey's Anatomy childbirth, or something, or she gives very real advice to moms and about pregnancy and postpartum and everything. And she's great. So I really like her. She's very real. I love the real moms. Let's see. I don't watch a ton of YouTube. Okay, this is embarrassing. I'm just going to go ahead and say,
go ahead.
My husband and I will watch video game speedruns sometimes. So we'll watch some of these like AGDQ, like a game done quickly. They do these live events where they'll have like a speedrunner play a game really fast and do like the world record. And so we'll watch and just like be like, how do they do that? That's amazing. Or like, I don't know, like that's a whole.
Yeah, I've seen this on like Super Mario, and they'll like the whole game in like 12 minutes or something.
And there's like a glitch that like is impossible. And so there's also like like we're fascinated by that probably because we're just like we grew up with the Nintendo, and so these old games that like they figured out all these glitches and it's like pixel by pixel who gets the world record, like it's so crazy. So we're big nerds, and so we'll watch that. That's not reselling related. Yeah, you know what's funny is I don't watch a lot of like business motivational YouTube. I mean, Graham Stephan is good, but I have it in doses because too much is like overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'll start to like, it'll tap into that side of me that just wants to go, 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 go.
Yeah.
I love like fiction or just like entertainment. You know, so podcasts, I love Conan O'Brien's podcast. So good. He is so real. He interviews celebrities. I think it's Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. I love listening to, one of my favorites is Two Gomers Run for Their Lives. I have followed those guys for years and years. They're just a couple of guys who were out of shape at 29 and decided to sign up for a half marathon, and the podcast follows it. This was years ago, and now it's just followed them through having children and running. They always have a race that they do together. So they've run a marathon, they've run a couple marathons. And they're super funny and really real. Like I laugh out loud because like while they're running, they'll have something called Code Brown when they're not feeling good, let's just say.
Yeah.
And so I laugh so hard when I listen to that podcast. Plus they're just such real and nice guys, and it's very clean and it's very like family friendly. So I like that. And Dr. Peter Attia is one I listen to because I'm fascinated by what he talks about, what he does, longevity, nutrition. I mean, I don't apply what he talks about. I eat garbage, but like I like to listen to what he says, and he's so intelligent. And so I like to listen to his podcasts. And yeah, like that's pretty much Tim Ferriss. I love Tim Ferriss. I love his recent Instagram post where he talked about how he created his podcast with less than $100 worth of equipment.
Yeah.
Just his laptop, some cheap earbuds, a $65 mic, and he was ready to go. I think that's so smart. He's so like, you don't need a huge studio. So I thought that was awesome. But yeah, those are like, I guess that's like a very overarching.
Yeah. I think in my job, I have like 3 computer screens set up. And so I have like one corner of the far one, like always playing some YouTube video. So like I watch Philip DeFranco every day just to get like a relatively unbiased news view. Unashamedly, I'm a big PewDiePie fan.
Yes, I was about to say it, but then I didn't. And now that you said it, yes, I do.
now that you like him, yeah, I watch him every day.
I watch his Minecraft videos because my kids love Minecraft. I mean, I don't let them play anymore. I let them play when my son broke his leg. I was like, let's just give you something that's fun.
Yeah.
And Minecraft is pretty tame. It's very like, and they only had their own little world they could just build. But his videos are hilarious, and I'm very like fascinated by his growth. Oh, yeah. And when he talks about like how he grew his channel, and when he's just his take on like the drama that'll happen on YouTube, it's really interesting. I do. I'm so glad you said that, because now I can admit, fine, yes, I like PewDiePie as well.
A couple people are like, oh, like you're a Christian, so you should. I'm like,
oh no.
If you're gonna restrict all of your life entertainment to people that are Christians or don't cuss or whatever, like you're never gonna be able to watch anything on TV.
I know. Yep. So yeah,
he's not too bad actually. Like he's such a large channel. Like he doesn't really cuss very much. If he does, it's censored. But I love it. He started the Minecraft series, and I was like, what Minecraft?
It's so funny.
And it just took off. Like Jorgen and Sven and Watersheep. I love it.
Jorgen, I think he lost Jorgen like 3 times.
3 times. He's on like Jorgen 4 or something now. It's great.
So good. I'm being outed. Such a nerd. I love it. I love all that stuff.
My favorite thing about this type of interview is that people see you on your YouTube channel talking about your reselling, and occasionally you'll get into some personal stuff, but like just sitting down and talking to somebody for an hour and 5 minutes, people would have never known that you like PewDiePie. And it's just cool to just dig down and see what you can learn about people, and it's awesome. No shame. He's almost got 100 million subscribers. Kind of McDonald's.
We can't all be wrong.
Nobody eats McDonald's, but we sell 90 billion hamburgers a day.
Yeah, there we go.
So, okay. So let's see. Again, I don't want to keep you too long, but
Oh, you're great.
quickly.
I have plenty of time, so you go ahead.
Okay. So you mentioned you have a master's degree in psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you ever think about what your life would have been like if you found this gem of reselling while you were in high school and you just decided to pursue that instead of your degree? And then part two of that question is, do you ever plan on leaving the reselling and YouTube world to pursue another career in your degree field?
So I love that I have it. And I think I need it. I need it to process what I've grown up with. So having that degree is proven invaluable for me to analyze and process information, especially in regards to things that I know I'm working through. I have data and I have, all these psychologists with their theories and their practices and that I have internalized and have helped me. Um, so I love having it. And I loved working with kids. That was really fun. But then the red tape of working at a school is really hard too. There's lots of things you can't talk about. And like pushing grades and pushing career readiness was like really hard too. I was like, ugh, this is such a drag to always tell kids, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like they're 13 years old and we're having to tell them, get ready for college and career. And I don't know. So, and we're always pushing education, pushing. I mean, I love education. I talked on Pure Hustle podcast about how much I love education. But at the same time, there's kids who are better suited to doing this, and like that's okay too. I want to make that okay. I love my education. I think everyone should pursue it. Um, but like, yeah, like I love my education. I would never give it up. I'm so grateful that I have it, and I don't. I think it makes me who I am. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be as articulate. I mean, I know that I'm articulate, maybe I'm not. But I was a freelance writer for a while, and I've written billions upon billions of papers. So even though I make this slight grammatical error and Insta stories, or like just a lot of times being grammatically incorrect in Insta stories is funnier anyway. So I'll
Mhm.
like do that on purpose. But like when I'm writing, I'm like, okay, I can write. Like I know grammar. I've read tons of books, and I think that's very very valuable. It makes your brain just makes your brain have better connections, able to process things. And so I would definitely recommend it to everyone. I would not recommend getting into debt for college and going out of state and going to get a degree in whatever. Like if you are, pick something that you can feel like you can have a career in. Um, so there are times, yeah, I look back and I'm like, maybe I could have, well, I couldn't have. I worked at my family's restaurant. So that was one thing that like I didn't know I even had choices to leave. So I would have loved to have discovered this, but I'm glad I did when I did, because I might not have pursued it as much if I were just right out of, I didn't have the confidence. I wouldn't have had the confidence to feel like I knew what I was doing.
Mhm.
Um, and so would I go back? Like I might, one thing that like I would love to do is finish, um, having like 2000, you need like 2000 clinic or hours in with shadowing a psychologist to get your degree to where like to get your license where you can counsel people one-on-one. That's
Mhm.
one thing that I would like to do. I'm curious to do it. I don't know that I would love it, but I would like to like at least get that and have that as an option. Um, but I'm just so excited about this little path that's opened up with YouTube and with reselling, but I don't know where it's going to take me. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's taking me on this little journey of, am I going to be on YouTube forever? Am I going to change my tune and start talking about other things? Finance. We want to talk about finance. We want to talk about budgeting because we're really big budgeters and we're really big on being debt free.
Yeah.
And we have like a very, where we keep things frugal, and that's something that I love talking about. But I'm like, do I talk about it on my channel? Like, can I? Um, so yeah, I don't. That probably didn't answer the question very well. But yeah, it'd be one day. Like, one day I might want to go back to being a school counselor, and that might be really cool. One day I might have the option to get my license and counsel people one-on-one, or do marriage and family, or whatever. And that's really cool. And if I didn't have my education, those options would not be available to me. And so I'm always going to be grateful for that.
Awesome. If you keep going at the rate you're going, you can retire in like 10 years and then you can counsel for free just for fun.
Mm-hmm. Right? No, we won't. I mean, no. There's no way my husband would retire. He's a worker. He's a worker bee. He would. I don't know how we would both just like kick back. I think we're both too like, what's the next project?
So when it you started reselling and you focused on that, and then you started your YouTube channel. Both of these things take up a large amount of time and energy. So how do you balance that? Like, how do you know when it's time to source and list items and when it's time to film and edit videos?
Mm-hmm. Right now and throughout summer, all I do is source on Saturdays. I just go to garage sales, yard sales, and maybe a thrift store or two if I don't find enough. And that's all I do each week sourcing. So that's my morning. And then if I have time that afternoon, if my husband wants to take the kids on like a little adventure, bowling or whatever, then I will photograph everything, or at least get a chunk done. And then I will be able to list throughout the week a little bit here and there. And then YouTube I save for evening time. Evenings I usually film and edit, and then I will upload in the morning because like otherwise I feel like if I don't upload first thing in the morning, it like goes to die where it just goes to like the Bermuda Triangle of YouTube viewers. So I try to do that, and then yeah, that's kind of how I balance. And then Instagram, I'm here and there. I pop on and off, but I have been focusing more on YouTube because that is what like pays me. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to like focus on what my priorities really need to be. Instagram is really just for fun, and I've been letting it be just for fun lately, and it's actually been way more enjoyable than like I think at first I was trying to grow and I was trying to post consistently and do whatever, but now I'm like whatever. Like I'll post whatever I feel like, and that's all. Instagram's really, I mean, it's so fun, but like I just let it be more fun, so that way it doesn't like take up so much of my brain space. But YouTube is where I have to like really think about videos I'm going to put out and edit them, and what's the next video going to be, or how do I change it up? How do I make it not so it's not literally every single one is in my office? Like I'm using more creative power there. So I really only think about YouTube and eBay and Amazon limited times throughout the week. But then once my kids are with me, or once they're home, or once it's time to put the mom hat on, I'm fine just going bye-bye, let it go, let's go play, and let's focus on that. So that's been helpful for sure.
Awesome. So the last question is going to be just a fun one. But before we get into that, as a thank you for doing the show with me tonight, I'm going to be sending you one of these shirts.
Yes.
So people
I noticed it right away.
So I don't know if you watched my last video, but I wanted to get into the like print on demand business. So I paid a graphic designer on Fiverr, and I was like, hey, it was like $35. I was like, hey, I want a Dwight Schrute's Gym for Muscles t-shirt, a circle with him in the middle ripping a phone book, and it even says Scranton Yellow Pages.
That's awesome.
It's
That's
really
so
awesome.
Good.
So, but I have a few of those, so I'm going to be sending you one of those just as a thank you.
Oh, it's so nice.
I don't know if you'd wear it because
I will proudly. I love The Office.
It's very like CrossFit-y. I remember you saying something about The Office, and I think you talked about Parks and Rec before as well. Which gets me to my last question here. Which show is better, The Office or Parks and Rec?
You know what's so funny? I have like literally 4 shows that I rotate through, and that's it. I don't even watch anything new. I'm so like I'll like have it in the background while I'm like listing or working. Okay, I will answer this way. The Office seasons 1 through 3 for me, the Jim and Pam story, I've never felt like I was watching it when I was like in my 20s. Like how old was I? Yeah. Like, and that was like the fantasy, right? Like Jim, oh my gosh, like it was so amazing. And like we'd go to office parties with friends and just go watch The Office. Like it was just this huge thing. And the Jim and Pam story was so like, oh, like casino night when he kisses her was like, it blew away every TV moment I've ever seen. It was so amazing. So 1 through 3, or maybe 1 through 4, because 4 includes Dinner Party, which is a classic.
The season from 4 is the Fun Run, which is probably my favorite episode.
So good. Carbo loads. Oh, it's so good. But Parks and Rec from beginning to end, I think is better.
Yeah.
Office lost it for me around before Michael left. It didn't have the same. I just didn't like love it as much. It just wasn't, but Parks and Rec from beginning to end, every episode I love. The Eagleton thing, like even moving on, even the season finale where like they had, or the series finale with everyone in the future, it was just so brilliant, so well done, so well written. My husband and I quoted each other all the time.
Yeah, the ending was very, tied up very well. Like in
So
comparison
good.
to Office kind of left a few loose ends, but Parks and Rec
Mhm.
really, the series finale was wonderful.
Oh, so good. And like, yeah, I can watch any episode from any season and laugh and enjoy it.
Mhm.
Whereas Office, if it's not from seasons 1 through 4 or a few select episodes later on, um, I'm not as into it. So I'm gonna have to say Parks. Parks is better.
That's fair. I think I'd agree with you. I think it was made by the same people, and I think they
Yeah.
had some experience going into it.
Hmm.
And they're also Greg Daniels and I forget his name, but it's the guy that
Mike
plays
Sure.
Mose. Mike, yeah,
Hmm.
uh, they are the producers on a new show with Steve Carell in it called Space Force. It's going to be based off of Donald Trump's proposition of starting a United States Space Force.
Yes.
So
Oh,
I'm
yes.
I think it's going to be on Netflix, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm
Okay.
incredibly excited.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Because I watched The Good Place. I'm only up to season 2 because it's not available on on Netflix beyond that. And
Mhm.
I do like The Good Place too. And I know that's Mike Schur as well. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean, I don't watch it all the time, but like it's really funny. But
Yeah.
I do love those. But yeah, I'll rotate Office, Parks, How I Met Your Mother, and Seinfeld. Those are like the 4. Maybe Friends every now and then. But that's
I've
it.
been
I like live in
really
the past. What's wrong with me?
It's funny that you said Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a little bit before my time. I'm only 28, but
Okay.
I really like his Netflix series, Riding in Cars with Comedians or something.
Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, that one. It's really interesting because it's formulaic. There's always a comedian, always a car, always coffee, but it's just so interesting to watch.
Yeah.
How he I watched his episode with Eddie Murphy. I watched that the other night, and it's cool to see they had a set list from when they both were starting out as comedians, and they did a comedy night at a Chinese restaurant, and it was 30 years ago, and they had their names written on there, and both their names were spelled wrong, and it's just so cool to see how they've been friends and how they've both been so incredibly successful. If anybody out there has not watched that on Netflix, I would really suggest it. It's a good show to fall asleep to at night.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that one.
Oh yeah, he's great.
So anyway, we still got 35 people watching after an hour and 17 minutes. That's still
Ooh,
pretty good.
oh,
So
thanks, guys.
but we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you everybody for watching tonight. Ashley, thank you uh, for doing the show for me. You've been a wonderful guest. There's been no technical issues, so this has been a great interview.
Good.
And I'm just really happy with all the questions, and I feel like I know you a lot better, and hopefully the people that watch this do too. So
That's so nice. Thank you so much. I'm like super honored you would even want to have me on. Thank you. I'm like very flattered and very honored, and I just hope I was able to answer questions okay. And like I really that is like I believe our goal, and that's like what drew me to you was just authenticity felt just so real for me. Like I just could feel it, honesty, and like you helping me with my YouTube channel was like you helped fill a need that I really needed. I use that, and I use that outro every time. For those of you who don't know, Josh created my outro for my YouTube channel, and I use it every single time, and I love it. And that just that like offering that, and then was just the nicest thing. And um, so yeah, like that. I'm glad that we connected for sure because you have a great thing going, and I want to support that for sure.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. So anyway, like I said, we'll end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, Ashley, thank you. And we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yes, anytime.
Sounds good. See you guys later. Okay.